Hey everybody, my name is Kaylee Holtzapfel. I'm back with another video for you guys to relay some information that the Lord has been sharing with me and sharing with my mother as well. There is a lot to this video. There's a lot of information, so it might be a little bit longer than my normal videos, but it's really exciting stuff. So here we go. So on October 27th, I had a dream about an Esther figure. The Lord has been letting me know and confirming to me that in these last days there's going to be an Esther type figure that is going to rise up in times of trouble and pour out the cup of gladness upon the people. So on the 27th I had a dream about that, but at the end of my dream everything went black and there was no dream, but I only audibly heard the words that said, "This just in that same radio broadcast voice that I told you I heard in my asteroid video. My asteroid in Cincinnati video. If you haven't watched that, go check that out. But in that same broadcaster's voice, I heard, "This just in, the Vatican has released its use of the Chronocode." No idea what that means, but I think that the Lord uses this broadcast voice to relay really important information to let me know that when I hear that, that's breaking news, so that's really important. So in my last video, we talked about my Vatican dream, about how I was under the catacombs and I saw a giant Nephilim skull. It scared me. It was as big as my body is, and I'm almost 6 feet tall, so it was a huge, huge skull. And I saw the Vatican, or I saw the catacombs, and I saw the Nephilim skull, and then Hitler and his Nazis were walking on the catwalks and they were shooting at me, and then I took Hitler's gun, I put it in my bag, and when I pulled it back out, it was a camera. So the three main symbols in that dream were the Nephilim skull, Hitler ties or Nazi ties, and the camera. So if you haven't watched that video, go check it out because I'll talk about some technology called a chronovisor. I'd never heard that word before, I'd never even heard of that technology before. But I find it crazy that right after I released that video, the Lord gives me more information about the Vatican and gives me the word Chronocode. I've never heard of that before, never in my life, don't even know what it means. So, what is the Chronocode? I did some research on it. It's kind of hard to find information on it because I think it's kind of like a hush-hush concept. I know they're doing a lot of research in terms of something called chronobiology, which is the study of the biological time clock. And they're doing a lot of studies on it in Japan, so the information that I found, I'll read to you guys. Chronocode, a new concept underlying the control of the biological clock, the time-keeping mechanism involving rhythmic modifications of the clock proteins. Chronobiology is the field of biology that studies biological phenomena that change as a function of time, especially the phenomena that change in a rhythmic or periodic manner. They are studying the circadian clock, which monitors things like activity, sleep, body temperature, blood pressure, endocrine system, and autonomic function. Chronocode relates to the spatiotemporal, or space and time, regulation of post-transitional modifications of clock proteins. Post-transitional modifications, or PTM, refers to the proteins following protein biosynthesis, and protein biosynthesis is when biological cells generate new proteins. Because I know some of those words are kind of hard, so I just kind of put it in like layman's terms. Chronos means time. So Chronocode literally translates to time code. It is interesting to note that the clock protein is called Cry, C-R-Y. With a chip analysis, C-H, capital C, little h, capital I, capital P. With a chip analysis using the clock antibody, we identified approximately 8,000 clock binding sites genome-wide where transcription is activated by clock, complexed with BMAL1, in an E-box-dependent manner. We expect that the Chronocode concept will spark a renaissance in the clock research in the near future. Once the whole picture of spatiotemporal regulation of post-transitional modifications, PTM, is elucidated by using specific antibodies as an excellent tool. And if you want to go check out more information about that, the URL that you can check it out is ruo.mbl.co.jp. So, Chronocode is your biological clock. And it's a code. Basically what they're trying to do is a code that they're trying to unlock within our genomes that causes our circadian rhythm to function at a full 24-hour spectrum. You know, we as humans are dictated by our biological clock. So when the sun is up, we're awake. When the sun is down, we're asleep. But what they're trying to do is they're trying to reroute our circadian rhythm to where we're not affected by darkness and we're not affected by light, that we're up all hours of the day, and that during the night we're not groggy, we're not sleepy, so we can be more productive, and then during the day we're not affected because we're awake at night, basically. And it's crazy. I don't know why anybody would want to do that. Well, I do know why somebody would want to do that, and we'll talk about that later. So that's what Chronocode is, and it's a difficult concept to try to wrap your head around because it's, I guess it's a new form of field of biology, but I guess it's not that new because the Lord told me that the Vatican just released its use of the Chronocode. So who is Chronos? Well, let's take a look because I have some notes here. Chronos was the personification of time. Chronos governed linear, chronological time, contrasted with the other Greek word for time, kairos, meaning the indeterminate moment that is right for something to occur. So Chronos is a linear form of time, and kairos is the right moment for something to occur or to happen. So Chronos was a Greek god, and it says that the semen of Chronos was placed in the recesses and produced the first generation of gods, and that's important. So I have a lot of notes, so just bear with me. Okay. So we know that the fallen angels in Genesis, they were casted out and they mated with the daughters of men, and they formed a race called the Nephilim. The Nephilim being a hybrid between angel, fallen angel, and human, right? They were giants. Some of them were 300 feet tall, and they had an insatiable bloodlust. And, you know, if you read your word and you really study the word, it says that they, you know, they were bloodthirsty and they slaughtered everybody, and they were so large that their appetites couldn't be quenched. The thirst couldn't be quenched and their appetites couldn't be satiated, so they just started killing everybody. And that's when the deluge or the flood of Noah came about, because the Lord had to destroy the whole world of the evil that had been created because of the fallen angels. So not only do we see fallen angels in Christian, biblical, literature, but we also see it in Greek literature too. You know, the demigods or the titans or the gods, Zeus, Hercules, Hermes, all of these fallen angels, these titans, these warriors, they were Nephilim. They were what the Greeks referred to as Raphaim. They were the mighty men. They were the warriors of that time. But they were these huge beings that were gods. That was what, the Greeks referred to them as, because I don't know if they just didn't regard the biblical literature as to what they are actually called, Nephilim. But, that's what they called them. They were these warriors and they were worshipped as gods. But they were huge, right? They were these huge, huge beings. Well, that's what they were. They were the fallen angels. So, there was a special class of ancestor called Raphaim. The Canaanites, the Amorites, they knew about them. The Raphaim were the dead kings of old, the mighty men of old, the men of renown, the Nephilim. The Greeks knew about them. The poet Hesiod said that the men who lived during the Golden Age, when Chronos ruled in heaven, Chronos being the king of the Titans, those gods who were sent to Tartarus, just like the Watchers. So Chronos being the king of the Titans, whose gods were sent to Tartarus, just like the Watchers, the angels who sinned in 2 Peter, the Watchers who came down on Mount Hermon. Those men of the Golden Age were the Nephilim. The demigods that were worshipped, like Hercules, were by definition Nephilim. So, not only do we see the definition of Chronos being time, but we also see that Chronos was a demigod or a god or a titan, right? So, when I heard this in my spirit, in my dream, when I heard that the Vatican had released its use of the Chronocode, I knew that it related to the dream that I previously released to you guys. Because what were those three symbols, right? I saw a giant Nephilim skull. And I knew in my spirit it was a Nephilim skull. It was huge. It was a 6-foot skull, right? Approximately. So I knew that what I saw in my dream and what I relayed to you guys was the truth, because I knew that this Chronocode somehow related to Nephilim, and it related to Nephilim technology. Okay? So, and this is true, because if we see that Chronos was a Nephilim or a god, then it only makes sense that what I previously told you guys would be true. So I talked to my mom about it, because I remembered her saying something that she had received a couple dreams regarding this same word, Chronos, right? So I messaged her, and, we got to talking. And she has a couple dreams that I'm going to tell you guys about as well, because it all fits together like a puzzle. The Lord's been giving me things, and the Lord's been giving her things too. And it's really crazy what's going on, what the Lord's trying to reveal to us. So, let me see here. So the first dream that my mom had was on October 3rd of this year. Okay? And she said, while praying, the Lord kept speaking, appointed time, appointed time. It is the appointed time. Then she saw a well with a sign above it. On the left side said Chronos. I was given Chronos CH, but she was given with a K, but it's the same thing. On the left side, she was given Chronos, and on the right, it said Jacob's well. So she gave me a picture of what it looked like, and if you guys can see, this is kind of what she was given. So she had the well, and on the left side, she had Chronos. On the right side, she had Jacob's well. And then she has some things over here that we'll talk about. But on the right, she had Kairos, K-A-I-R-O-S. She had Kairos written, right? All right. So, also, one of the genes in this Chronocode technology that they're looking at rerouting, it's K-A-I, capital C. So Kai and Chronos, again, we see that same correlation. So on the Chronos side, my mom said, Shenyaza, Watchers, Fallen Angels, time. Chronos is regarded with the linear spatiotemporal time. Kairos, she wrote on the Jacob's well side. Kairos means the opportunity, the right time to say or do the appropriate thing. Kairos, the youngest child of Zeus, was the god of opportunity. So that was one of her dreams that she had, okay? So again, she was given things that fit together with what the Lord had told me. It's the appointed time. Something is going on with this Chronocode, and the Vatican has already, apparently, began its use of it. Okay? So another dream that she gave me. We talked about titans. We talked about giants, okay? Giants and these titans, they were Nephilim. They were another name for a hybrid between human and fallen angel, okay? And it talks about that in Genesis for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about. On October 19th, she said, I saw a giant and a man getting ready to fight in an arena. The giant reached behind him and grabbed a spear, but it was too heavy for him to lift. So he broke the tip of the spear off and dipped it in blood and signed his name on a large parchment paper. And if you guys remember in my asteroid video, I told you that I saw a scroll that was parchment paper, and I saw evil, wicked hands signing names to it like they were decreeing something, okay? We already knew the man was going to die, and we watched as the giant stabbed the man. So she said she saw a trident, okay? She said the spear looked like a trident. It was a three-pronged trident. The trident, a three-pointed spear, is often associated with the Greek god Poseidon, who used his trident to make earthquakes and create sources of water. It was also used for military combat, okay? So, what does all this mean? I know it's difficult to wrap your head around, but I think the Lord is telling me something is going to be, again, unearthed having to do with the Vatican. It is still possible that they're going to find extraterrestrial skulls or Nephilim skulls under the Vatican in the catacombs. That's still totally a possibility. It's still totally a possibility that they're going to find that the Catholic Church had ties with World War II Nazi Germany. But I think it goes deeper than that. They have that chronovisor technology, but they have this chronocode. And if what I have put together is true, which I really do think that it's true, because I would never know any of this information unless the Lord revealed it to me. I would never know what Chronos means. I would never know what Kairos means. I would never know what a Chronocode is unless he revealed it to me. The Bible says, as in the days of Noah, so shall be at the coming of the Son of Man. And if we talked about, again, the deluge, the flood of Noah, why did the Lord destroy the earth? He destroyed the earth because there were mighty men, there were fallen angels, and they were killing the land, they were destroying the people. And he had to rid everybody of everything. So we look at ancient technology and ancient civilizations. We had Atlantis, we had Samaria. These places were very, very far, highly advanced, and they were, I would probably say, farther advanced than what we even think some of the technology that they had. You know, you look at the pyramids, you look at things that they did with scarab beetles, like they had frequencies, they had these crazy advanced technologies that, you know, unless you do your research and you find out about, you're not going to know, okay? So I think the Lord is trying to tell me that as in the days of Noah, so shall be at the coming of the Son of Man, and it is the appointed time, okay? Not only are we dealing with Chronos, not only are we dealing with what I believe to be fallen angel technology, it is the appointed time, it is Kairos. It's the opportunity to tell his people about it, and it's the time for the fallen angel technology. Maybe this is the beginnings of the mark of the beast to come about. And somehow the Vatican has ties in with this, okay? So you might ask yourself, okay, well, they're trying to study our biological clock. They're trying to change our circadian rhythm. Why is that important? What does that matter? If you don't sleep, the Lord can't talk to you, okay? He can't speak to you. How many people in the Bible, if you read, were given dreams and visions while they were asleep? Countless. That's how the Lord speaks to me. He reveals things through his spirit while I'm asleep and while I'm dreaming. And I think the enemy knows this, right? So he wants to keep you awake, keep you productive. So the Lord can't speak to you, so he can't reveal things to you, just like the Bible says that he would in the last days. You know, your men shall see visions and they shall prophesy, all of these things, you know, and I'm a witness, I'm a testimony to this. And I know other people, I've seen other people that are getting similar gifts and similar revelations just the same as I have been given. If you would have told me this time last year that, you know, this stuff would have been happening to me, I would have laughed in your face because it sounds crazy, right? But it's crazy awesome because it's the Lord, you know. So, time will only tell, but I think that something with our genomes and something biologically is being put in place to alter our DNA, to change our genetic makeup as we know it, right? So the mark of the beast, yes, a chip probably will go along with it in your forehead or your hand, but I think it goes deeper than that. I think it's your makeup. I think it's your chemical makeup of who you are. It's going to reroute something. You know, we see CRISPR technology. We see things that DARPA is trying to do. You know, biometrics is a thing. It's rapidly advancing. And again, they said that they think that this Chronocode technology is going to spark a renaissance in the near future once they perfect their genome, whatever they're doing with their genomes. And I know this is a lot of information and I fully don't understand it myself, but I think this is fallen angel technology that the Lord is telling me the Vatican is beginning to use, and that it's possible we might start seeing giants again. So, I hope that I have effectively put this out here for you guys. But the Lord's been speaking appointed time, and he's really been telling me a lot about time, and he's been telling my mom a lot about time. And this is big. This is really big. I think we're going to start seeing something giant happen in the, you know, visual, like what we literally see. I think we're going to start seeing giants. I think something is going to happen to where they disguise it as extraterrestrials, but it's actually Nephilim. They're not completely gone. They're in hiding, and the Bible tells you that. But I think, you know, biometrically, intrinsically, in DNA, I think we're going to start seeing the technology that was used long ago. So, yeah. I will be back when the Lord tells me more information or more revelation about this. I've been praying for more revelation about this, but it is the appointed time. And I think this is the appointed time that Daniel talks about, to seal up the words until the appointed time. I'll be back when he sends me back again. Only time will tell. We'll see what goes on with the Vatican and if something happens with the Vatican unearthing this Chronocode technology. But the Lord told me that somehow they're already in the works for being in use of it. So I love each and every one of you. I know this sounds like a crazy video, and it's even crazy to my mind. It's spinning my mind round and round and round to know that something this big is happening. So yeah, I'll be back when he sends me back, and I love each and every one of you, and I love you in Jesus' name, and I hope you have a great day.